You're saying, Your Honor, you're saying this is a criminal matter?
Yes.
Okay, well then we need the corpus delicti. You have the identification of the person, which is me, but you don't have a person saying that they were hurt or damaged, or the crime that's saying what I did to hurt or damage the person. So how do you have a crime?
You went to law school?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
You're in a whole different ball game, and you need to come on to this ball game here.
All right, folks, today's case is a full-blown circus. We've got Judge Perkins on the bench, calm, experienced, and not one to play games. And then we've got the defendant, a self-declared sovereign citizen who swears he's cracked the legal code because he skimmed a few online articles. This guy genuinely thinks he's going to outsmart a judge who's been practicing law for decades. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go the way he planned. The defendant starts off with a motion to dismiss, citing the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, civil.
I'm going to give you a $0 bond. And I'll recall the warrant. What is your motion, sir?
I have a motion to strike and dismiss.
What are the bases?
Basis of federal rules of civil procedure. Number one, there's no claim. There's no ratification of the claim.
There is a claim. There is a. You want me to read out I waived the reading of the information. You want me to read the claims, the allegations that have been made into the record? Do you need me to do that?
No, I don't. No, I don't, Your Honor.
I deny your motion on that basis. What else do you have to say? What else?
You deny my motion because of what, Your Honor?
Yes.
There is no real.
I denied your motion because there is a and this is criminal procedure, not civil procedure. But I denied your motion because there is an allegation here.
You're saying, Your Honor, you're saying this is a criminal matter?
Yes.
Okay, well then we need the corpus delicti. And so that's what I'm asking for. If there was a criminal matter, basically what you're telling me is that something has happened, someone has either been damaged or someone has been or either someone has been damaged or someone has something has been come up missing. And if that's the case, then that means that there is a crime. And if there's a crime, then there is what do you have that's saying that I did the crime? What you're saying that I created this crime that hurt this person, and if I hurt this person and I created the crime, then a third thing that you have to have is the identification of the person. You have the identification of the person, which is me, but you don't have a person saying that they were hurt or damaged, or the crime that's saying what I did to hurt or damage the person. So how do you have a crime?
Okay. You went to law school?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
And where did you get that? Where did you get that from? Where did you learn all that?
I've been studying for quite some time, trying to understand what's going on. I have a different perspective as to what's being said that happened. I'm understanding more necessary for a crime to go for them to bring a crime forward. I'm understanding that a bit more.
And where did you get that understanding?
I've done some Cornell law studies. I've also sat down with a couple of friends who have had some issues. I picked up wherever I could, just started to study the law, just started to go back through Cornell law, started to figure out what was going on and to understand the nature of how what a crime is and everything else. So just a course of me searching it out.
And you're citing Cornell law for all of that you just said to the court?
No, what I did, Your Honor, was I realized that one of the biggest portions that you have to have is you have to have the corpus delicti.
In a criminal case, it's like showing up to a baseball game with a hockey stick. Judge Perkins, cool as ever, reminds him, this is criminal court, not civil. The motion is denied, plain and simple. But does the defendant stop there? Of course not. He doubles down, babbling about something called corpus delicti, which he clearly doesn't understand. Now, for those who don't know, corpus delicti means proof that a crime actually occurred. The defendant twists it into some fantasy argument claiming no one was hurt and therefore no crime exists. He's essentially telling the judge, unless you produce a victim with visible bruises, you can't charge me for driving without insurance or plates. Folks, that's like telling the IRS they can't fine you for tax evasion because you didn't physically injure anyone. It's nonsense, and here's where it gets hilarious. The judge asks him straight up, did you go to...
And that is in when you're being charged criminally.
What is a corpus delicti?
What do you mean, what is the corpus delicti?
What is your understanding of what corpus delicti is?
That is the corpus delicti is the law that's saying that there is a crime that's being committed. So in order to do that, you have to show the corpus delicti, which is you saying this is what happened. This is how this person was damaged.
So,
there is no
the
person.
Officer on this day, on these dates, because I got a lot of them, said that
I
you
object.
drove.
I object. The
Don't
officer
interrupt,
works.
Don't interrupt
Okay,
me.
I apologize, Your Honor. I apologize, Your Honor. My apologies.
The officer says that you drove a vehicle that wasn't registered and wasn't titled, or titled and or untitled, that you drove without a valid driver's license, that you drove without valid insurance. Again, on a different occasion, they allege that you drove without a valid driver's license and no insurance. And then on a different occasion, they allege that you drove without unregistered or untitled or both, and drove without a valid driver's license, repeat offender, that you failed to have a trailer plate, and that you failed to secure a load on your vehicle. And on another occasion, on the same occasion that you failed to secure, that they allege you failed to secure the load, failed to have a trailer plate on your vehicle, that you didn't provide a valid driver's license. So those are the crimes. And in the state of Michigan, whether you agree or not, they are crimes. So based on your motion and all of that stuff you talk about, corpus delicti and things like that, the court denies the motion, okay? Based on those reasons I just said. Now, how do you want to move forward? Because wait a minute, I'm not finished.
My apologies, Your Honor.
How do you want to move forward? Because in my experience, someone that comes into court, as you do, you do not want to take an offer. You do not believe that you need to have plates or registration or insurance, and you just disregard all of that portion of the law. And either you are going to move forward by having a trial, or you're going to take a deal. What do you want to do, sir?
Your Honor, first I want to put my objection on the record. And at that point,
whatever your objection is noted. What do you want to do, sir? Do you want a trial? You have two options: trial, or you want to take a deal.
Your Honor, I request a jury trial.
A jury trial.
A jury trial, yes, Your Honor.
Very good.
This guy law school? The defendant admits, nope. He just studied Cornell law and talked to friends. Translation, he watched YouTube videos and read a couple of PDFs. Meanwhile, he's standing there trying to lecture a judge on how criminal law works. It's painful, it's awkward, and Judge Perkins is handling it with the patience of a saint. But then comes the hammer. Judge Perkins lays out the actual charges. Multiple counts of driving without registration, no valid license, no insurance, even failing to secure a load on a trailer. These aren't made up. They're on the books. Clear violations of state law. And yet the defendant waves it off, still clinging to his corpus delicti.
You know what I want to ask, Mr. Gray, and you can choose to answer it or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
But what I surmise and what I've heard, and I don't know if you're alleging the same thing, is that and you basically did allege the same thing, that no crime has been committed because no person has been the people of the state of Michigan are in danger of you driving without the proper documentation or anything like that. But I don't, and I'm gonna surmise, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you're gonna say that that there's no jurisdiction to be able to pull you over because no one has been injured. Is that correct?
I think that what I'm saying is that the city of Detroit had an officer pull me over to say that you're not following these rules. And my stance is, okay, well, then that's fine. If we're following rules, then therefore, let me make sure that you as well as are following the rules, because if I don't do that, then freedoms are lost. So that is in which that is the way that I proceed to say, okay, well then if we're playing cards and we playing show me yours, if this is your hand, then this is mine, and let's proceed accordingly to the law. That's it. That's my only standing is if someone doesn't stand up every once in a while and define the edges, then they all disintegrate and people lose rights.
And you know something? With that being said, I would agree with you 1,000%. Mm-hmm. That's why I pride myself, and I hope I'm doing a good job for the citizens that come in here and the police for that matter and the prosecution, that I am calling the balls and strikes right. And if something doesn't proceed as it should, then I will dismiss the case one way or the other. But in my short time on this bench and in my time at practicing law as a defense attorney, I get this, they can't pull me over. I've heard the corpus delicti, first time the civil procedure has been thrown at me. But from the way I see it, is that you just don't feel that the police have a jurisdiction to pull you over for these issues. Is that correct?
Do I have again, Your Honor, what I feel is that if we are following rules.
Fantasy. At this point, you almost want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him. Like, sir, this isn't a debate club. These are criminal charges, and you're the one sitting in the hot seat. And get this, when given the choice between a deal and a trial, what does he do? He demands a jury trial for traffic violations. Yes, this man actually thinks 12 strangers are going to side with him over the officer who wrote the ticket. The confidence is unreal. But here's where things really heat up, because Judge Perkins decides to play along and sets a trial date that's going to put this man's entire legal strategy to the test in front of a real jury. So after listening to this sovereign citizen twist himself into knots, Judge Perkins finally spells it out in black and white. He tells
that if I have to follow the rules, and every person out there, all of these officers, everybody else has to follow the rules. So if it comes down to it,
what I'm going to hope that you do by the time you come back on the trial date, jury trial date is going to be March the 18th, 2025.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're probably going to have an audience because everybody follows me on these cases all the time.
I understand.
All right, and I don't know if that's what you want, but we're gonna do that.
It's not that.
March the 18th, 2025. We're gonna have a final pre-trial date. Final pre-trial. This is to you, Mr. Bowman, especially the day before on February 17th, 2025 at 8:30. So Mr. Gray and Mr. Bowman, Mr. Bowman, I need you to have all your officers appear on that date. Who's ever going to state these allegations, so that we know that we're not just summoning the people of the city of Detroit to a jury that's not actually going to go. So all parties must appear, and that can be via Zoom. And the trial is going to be in person. All right. All parties must appear on final pretrial date and obviously on the trial date. And what I would implore you to do is you need to figure out the right game. because it doesn't sound like you're playing the right game.
I understand, Your Honor. I appreciate, first and foremost, let me say, I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate you sitting here and engaging with me at this level. So I recognize what you're saying, and so yeah, I guess it's to the table we go. So
yeah, but get your game in order, because I'm just giving
yes,
you
sir.
a little heads up. If you come
Yes,
in
sir.
with that game on the jury trial date, then more than likely you'll lose, unless you can find one of those jurors or a couple of those jurors, or even all of them, to have some sympathy for you, sir. I don't know.
I got a whole basis for understanding, and so yeah, if you know
Well,
it
that
is
basis
what it
that
is.
you outlined shortly today is not.
What was flawed in my what was flawed, Your Honor? What is
We
flawed
already
in my?
discussed it. We already discussed it. The federal rules of civil procedure that you brought up as a motion to dismiss, not the right basis. The corpus delicti, they do have a corpus delicti. They do have a crime that they say has been committed. And if you read the MCL, the Michigan court rules, and the Michigan statutes, then you'll see those crimes outlined there. They have them on the tickets. They got the statute numbers that are on the tickets. So that's not the right basis. So you're in a whole different ball game, and you need to come on to this ball game here.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The defendant calmly but firmly, these are criminal traffic violations. This isn't some civil contract dispute you can wiggle out of with magic words. The law is crystal clear. Drive without insurance, drive without registration. You're breaking the law. End of story, but the defendant still won't let go of his little fantasy. He interrupts, insists there's no injured party, no corpus delicti. And Judge Perkins. He leans forward and says, "The state is the injured party." Boom. In one sentence, the judge torches his entire argument. Because when you drive uninsured and unregistered, you're not just risking yourself. You're putting the whole public at risk. And in criminal law, the state itself represents that harm. You could see the air go out of the room. The defendant thought he was about to score some big courtroom victory, and instead, the judge hit him with legal reality so sharp it left no room for debate. And when the defendant tries to protest again, Judge Perkins calmly reminds him, "You're not a lawyer, you're not quoting the law correctly, and this is not how criminal court works." Then comes the kicker. The judge sets the jury trial date. But before wrapping up, he warns the defendant, and this is key, that if he insists on representing himself with these nonsense arguments, the jury is going to see right through it. They won't be impressed. They won't buy it. And when that verdict comes down, he's going to wish he had listened. But of course, the sovereign citizen doesn't hear any of that. He walks out still convinced he's on to something big, like he just cracked the Da Vinci Code. Meanwhile, Judge Perkins and everyone else in the courtroom knows exactly how this story ends, with a guilty verdict and a stack of fines. And that right there is the sovereign citizen trap. They think they've found a loophole in the system when all they've really done is build a trap for themselves. They ignore the judge, they ignore the law, and in the end, reality smacks them harder than any gavel ever could. So, jury trial it is. And I don't know about you, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall when 12 regular citizens watch this man try to explain corpus delicti like it's some magic shield. Spoiler, it's not.